A signal drifts through the silent expanse of space, its origin far from any known trade routes or military patrols, barely noticeable in the deep cosmic quiet. Yet its message is one of raw desperation and fear, a cry for help from a planet no one has heard of before. The inhabitants of this world are unknown to the major galactic empires, their name whispered only in the halls of distant observers, yet now they are screaming for aid, their cities falling to an enemy unlike any seen before, a species with weapons that can melt steel and ships that glide through the stars with an eerie grace. The message comes in short bursts, simple words, desperate words that travel across the vast reaches of space, their meaning clear and unmistakable. The planet is under attack, and its people are helpless against their aggressors. The invaders strike without mercy, leaving nothing in their wake but destruction and despair. The signal reaches the ears of a few, those who listen to the endless streams of cosmic chatter and fleeting radio signals. A handful of beings are aware of it, those who have heard the call and those who know of the Deathworlders, a name whispered in hushed tones across the galaxy, legends of creatures born in the most hostile environments in the universe, who survived the most brutal conditions and thrived in the face of unimaginable dangers. These beings are not like any others. They do not speak of diplomacy or peace. They do not negotiate or bow to authority. They have one purpose, and one only: to survive. And when they do survive, they do so with a fury that strikes terror into those who dare cross their path. Their very presence is enough to send shockwaves through civilizations, unprepared for the strength of their will and the violence of their war machines. The call reaches the ears of those who know this truth, but the decision to respond is not a simple one for the Deathworlders. They are no strangers to war and conflict. They have fought battles on their own homeworlds against creatures that would have crushed lesser species without a thought. They are not saviors. They are not altruists. They fight for survival, and nothing more. So why would they answer a plea from a distant planet, a race they have never met? Why would they risk their resources, their lives, for a planet whose name they do not know? The answer lies in the desperation of the signal. Something in the cry resonates with the instincts of the Deathworlders. It is a call not just for help, but for vengeance, a promise of a worthy challenge, something the Deathworlders crave above all else. Their world is filled with dangers that are a daily part of life, but they are always seeking the next trial, the next worthy foe that will push them to their limits. So when the signal reaches them, they listen not out of mercy, but out of curiosity. The Deathworlders are never satisfied with an easy fight. They thrive on the impossible, the unknown, the enemies that test their strength in ways no others can. And so they make a decision. They will answer this call, not with promises, but with a challenge. They will come not as heroes, but as warriors, and when they arrive, they will bring with them not only their power, but their hunger for a fight that will test everything they have always known about survival and what it truly means to be the last standing species on the battlefield. And so the ships of the Deathworlders begin their journey toward the distant planet, their massive forms breaking through the fabric of space as they descend toward a world about to experience the fury of creatures born to fight and conquer. The galaxy will soon know what it means to face the true strength of those who live only for the fight. The ships of the Deathworlders breach the atmosphere of the planet like shadows falling from a darkened sky. Their immense hulls cast an unnatural darkness over the cities below. The inhabitants of the planet stare in awe and terror as these ships, larger than any they have ever seen, descend through the clouds. The people have heard the legends of the Deathworlders, their name uttered in whispers by those who survived the first encounters with them, the stories of their strength, their brutality, and their refusal to back down no matter the odds. Now those legends are materializing in front of their eyes. The ground shakes as the ships land with a force that cracks the earth beneath them. The hum of the engines fades, but the tension in the air thickens like a storm before the downpour. The Deathworlders disembark one by one, their massive frames casting long shadows as they step onto the planet's surface. Their armor is an intricate mix of alien metals and hardened leather, etched with symbols that speak of untold battles fought across the harshest landscapes in the galaxy. Their eyes gleam with an intensity that unsettles even the most seasoned warriors of the planet's defenders. Their weapons are formidable, each one a deadly piece of craftsmanship, Forged in the heat of combat, they stand silent for a moment, taking in the unfamiliar world around them. The air is not quite right to them, too thin, too full of unfamiliar chemicals. But it is no matter. They have fought and survived in far worse conditions. They are here to do one thing, and one thing only: to crush the invaders. The inhabitants of the planet gather cautiously around the landing zone, their hearts heavy with both fear and hope. They have heard of the Deathworlders, but they had never dreamed they would see them in person. Now they stand in the presence of beings who are a living testament to the brutal art of survival in the most unforgiving environments in the galaxy. These are no ordinary soldiers. These are warriors who have carved their way through the galaxy, not by diplomacy or cunning, but by sheer will and ferocity. They are an unstoppable force, and the people of this planet can only wonder if they will be their salvation or their destruction. The Deathworlders do not speak much at first. Their leader steps forward, tall and imposing, his eyes scanning the surroundings before locking onto the planet's leader, the one who sent the distress signal. The planet's leader approaches hesitantly, their voice shaky, but filled with determination. They explain the situation. The invaders have come with their overwhelming force, their technology too advanced to defeat, and they are systematically destroying everything in their path. The people are dying, the cities are falling, the planet is being consumed, but there is no hope left, and so they turned to the Deathworlders, hoping against hope that these beings could be the ones to change the tide of the battle. The leader of the Deathworlders listens in silence, their face unreadable. The planet's leader finishes speaking and stands there, waiting for a response. Time seems to stretch for a long moment before the Deathworlder leader finally speaks, his voice low, guttural, and filled with a quiet intensity. We will fight with you, but we will not fight your war for you. You will fight alongside us. The battle is yours to win or lose. We will not be your saviors, only your allies. But know this: we will not stop until the enemy is crushed beneath our feet. And when we strike with everything. We have no mercy, no retreat, no surrender. The words settle in the air like a declaration of faith. The people of the planet are unsure whether to feel relieved or terrified. Their greatest hope now lies in the hands of these beings who have come from the depths of legend to save them. But they know one thing for certain: their world will never be the same again. The Deathworlders have arrived, and they are here to fight to the end. With that, the Deathworlders begin their march toward the enemy's stronghold, their movements swift and efficient, each step a promise that the invaders will soon learn the true meaning of resistance. The Deathworlders march forward with a singular purpose, their boots pounding the ground in perfect unison. The very earth beneath them seems to tremble in response. Their presence is a force of nature, unstoppable and undeniable. The air hums with anticipation as the planet's defenders fall into line behind them. This is not a fight they were prepared for, but now they are ready. The Deathworlders have shown them the true meaning of resolve. They have no doubts, left no questions, only the will to stand beside these relentless warriors. As they approach the first enemy outpost, the ground is silent except for the steady rhythm of the Deathworlders' steps. Their leader's eyes lock onto the horizon, where the enemy's fortified position stands like a silent sentry, unmoving and unaware of the storm heading their way. The enemy's technology is advanced, their weapons capable of striking from miles away, their ships orbiting high above, raining down destruction. But none of this matters to the Deathworlders. Their eyes are filled with only one thing: the coming battle and the enemies who will be crushed beneath their fury. Without a word, the Deathworlders initiate their assault, their weapons roaring to life. In an instant, the ground is torn apart by explosive fire and the shriek of energy blasts slicing through the air. Their sheer power rattles the enemy lines. The invader soldiers scramble to respond, but they are unprepared for the brutal, unrelenting tactics of the Deathworlders, who move like a coordinated storm, their weapons cutting down anything in their path. Their presence is overwhelming. Each strike is decisive and final. There is no hesitation, no mercy, and the invaders' forces begin to crumble under the weight of their assault. The defenders of the planet, who had once been terrified and unsure, now find themselves emboldened by the sheer might of their new allies. They fight with a renewed vigor, their weapons now matching the ferocity of their enemies. The Deathworlders do not hold back. They cut through the enemy lines With a savagery that leaves no room for mercy, they are not interested in negotiations or understanding. They are here to fight, and to win. The invaders' attempts at retaliation fall short. Their advanced technology, now a disadvantage against the primal fury of the Deathworlders, who seem to bend the laws of nature itself with every strike. As the battle rages on, the enemy's forces begin to realize they are not facing ordinary soldiers. They are facing a force of nature, a species that knows only survival and destruction. The invaders' weapons are ineffective, their ships falling from the sky, their soldiers fleeing in disarray. But the Deathworlders show no signs of stopping their pursuit. Relentless, they chase the enemy across the battlefield like predators on the hunt. Their leader's command is simple and final: no retreat until the enemy is annihilated. By the time the first wave of the Deathworlders' assault ends, the battlefield is littered with the remains of the invaders' forces, their once imposing weapons and ships, now nothing more than scrap metal scattered across the desolate landscape. The planet's defenders stand in awe, their faces filled with a mixture of disbelief and relief. The invaders' strength, once so intimidating, has been shattered by a force they couldn't possibly understand. The Deathworlders have turned the tide in a matter of hours. What was once a hopeless battle is now a fight they have a chance of winning. But the Deathworlders are not done yet. This was only the beginning. The enemy has yet to face the full might of their fury, and the invaders will soon learn that they are no longer fighting just for survival. They are fighting for their very existence against beings who know no boundaries when it comes to victory, and who will show no mercy as the battle progresses. The Deathworlders' hunger for the fight only grows stronger, and the enemy knows now that they are facing a challenge like none they have encountered before. As the smoke of battle begins to clear, the Deathworlders gather their forces and shift from brutal assault to a more focused strategy. Their leader, towering over the planet's defenders, orders a temporary ceasefire as the Deathworlders move to secure critical locations. Their task is far from over. They know the invaders' defeat cannot be achieved with mere might alone. They must understand their enemies on a deeper level. What drives them? Who are they truly fighting, and why does this world hold such value to them? The planet's defenders, still in awe of the Deathworlders' prowess, now look to them for guidance. Their leaders have only known the language of war, of struggle, but now they see that there is more to this battle than just weapons and power. The Deathworlders are not merely warriors. They are tacticians, strategists, and survivors of battles far older and more brutal than anyone could comprehend. The inhabitants begin to realize that they are not just fighting alongside powerful allies. They are learning the art of survival from masters. The Deathworlders, through their brutal yet efficient methods, begin to uncover the truth behind the invaders' motivations. It isn't just about conquering the planet. It's about resources that could fuel their empire's expansion across the galaxy. The invaders are not merely warmongers, but a dying race desperate for the energy-rich materials hidden beneath the planet's surface. These materials are rare, valuable, and capable of revitalizing their crumbling civilization, and in their greed, they are willing to wipe out everything in their path without hesitation. With this revelation, the Deathworlders' eyes narrow. Their understanding of the invaders has shifted from mere enemies to prey. They are no longer dealing with a force that values conquest. They are dealing with creatures driven by a hunger for survival. The Deathworlders know what that feels like. They understand the desperation that comes when your world is dying and your people are on the brink of extinction. The leader of the Deathworlders shares this newfound knowledge with the planet's defenders. They will not just fight to free the planet. They will fight to protect the galaxy from this kind of threat. They will show the invaders that they are not the only ones willing to do whatever it takes to survive. They are not just fighting for resources. They are fighting for the future of every species who values their existence above all else. The Deathworlders' warning is clear. This battle will determine not just the fate of one world, but the balance of power in the entire galaxy. The strategy shifts as the Deathworlders prepare to strike at the heart of the invaders' operations. They begin coordinating with the planet's defenders, using their knowledge of warfare to create traps, ambushes, and diversion tactics that will cripple the invaders' ability to fight back. They set their sights on the enemy's primary command center, a massive structure hidden deep within the planet's mountain ranges, surrounded by layers of defenses designed to keep out anyone who dares approach. The Deathworlders' plan is simple yet deadly. They will break the invaders' hold by cutting off their supply lines, disrupting their command, and striking when the enemy is weakest. They know that the invaders' strength lies not just in their advanced technology, but in their organizational structure and leadership. But once that structure begins to collapse, the invaders will scatter like the broken remnants of a lost civilization. With their path now clear, the Deathworlders and their allies prepare for the next phase of the assault. This will be the decisive blow. The planet's defenders are no longer fighting as helpless victims. They are fighting as warriors ready to stand beside the fiercest fighters in the galaxy, and with each passing moment, they grow more certain that the invaders will learn just how deadly the will to survive can be when it is backed by those who refuse to lose at any cost. As the Deathworlders regroup, the tension on the planet's surface grows thicker with each passing hour. The invaders may have lost ground, but their resolve has not yet broken. Their weapons are still powerful, their numbers vast, and the planet's defenders remain inexperienced in the art of total warfare. But the Deathworlders have shifted their focus from the immediate fight to something far more important. The key to defeating the invaders lies in understanding them and their motives. This battle, it seems, is not just about survival. It is about power, control, and resources. The Deathworlders set up a command post in one of the ruined cities, their scanners sweeping the terrain for signs of the enemy's remaining forces. They dig deeper into the invaders' operations and quickly begin to piece together the nature of the threat they are facing. It isn't just a group of conquerors looking to expand their empire. It's a species on the edge of extinction, driven by a relentless need to feed their dying civilization. Their technology, once advanced and sophisticated, is beginning to fail them. They are scavengers now, fighting desperately to harvest what they can from the galaxy before their star systems collapse under the weight of their own corruption. The leader of the Deathworlders, who has seen countless civilizations fall in the wake of their own desperation, feels a stirring of recognition as the pieces click into place. The invaders are not just an enemy. They are a warning of what can happen when a species is pushed too far, when it loses everything but its instinct to survive at all costs. The Deathworlders are survivors of the harshest worlds in the universe, and they know what it's like to be at the edge of extinction. But the Deathworlders also know what it means to fight back with everything. They have to claw their way back from the brink of annihilation. This understanding shifts the entire nature of the war for the Deathworlders. They no longer see the invaders as simple enemies to be vanquished. They see them as an opposing force driven by the same primal instincts that guide their own lives. The difference is that the Deathworlders are a people who have learned to thrive in the chaos of the universe, while the invaders are a species struggling to survive by any means necessary. The Deathworlders' leader shares this revelation with the planet's defenders, hoping to prepare them for what's to come. The planet's leaders are shocked by this new information. They had assumed the invaders were merely conquerors intent on taking everything from them for power, but now they realize that the enemy is desperate, afraid, and acting out of a hunger that goes beyond mere conquest. It is a fight for survival on a scale they cannot fully comprehend. But the Deathworlders know how to use this to their advantage. They understand fear, desperation, and the fragility of civilizations better than anyone else. They've seen empires fall and entire worlds burn, but they have also seen those who endure, those who are willing to push past the breaking point and fight not just for survival, but for a future they can call their own. With this newfound knowledge, the Deathworlders shift their tactics. They will still fight with the fury and ferocity that only they can bring, but now they will also strike with precision. They will target the invaders' most vulnerable points. Their leadership, their resources, their means of communication with the rest of their empire. The plan is simple but brutal. They will cripple the invaders' infrastructure, cut off their supply lines, and make them bleed for every inch they take. The Deathworlders' strategy is methodical and unrelenting. As they begin to dismantle the invaders' power, they coordinate with the planet's forces, guiding them in ways they had never imagined possible. Together, they ambush convoys, destroy supply depots, and sabotage weapons catches their movements are swift, efficient, and devastating. They are no longer just warriors. They are a force of nature. And with every successful strike, the invaders grow more erratic. Their response more desperate. The cracks in their resolve begin to show. The Deathworlders know that victory is within reach, but they also know that the hardest part is yet to come. The final blow will come soon, and when it does, the invaders will face the true wrath of a species born to fight and never surrender. The ground shakes once again, but this time it is not from the impact of the Deathworlders' boots nor the thundering of their weapons. It is the planet itself, quaking under the weight of the final confrontation the Deathworlders have set in motion. The invaders are no longer holding their ground in organized resistance. The Deathworlders' calculated destruction of their infrastructure has left the invaders' command scattered, their forces splintering. What was once an army of cold, calculating invaders is now a disjointed, frantic rabble fighting to survive in the face of an unstoppable tide. The planet's defenders, now hardened by the Deathworlders' relentless tactics, follow closely behind, their morale lifted, their fight sharpened like a blade honed to perfection. The enemy's command center lies within the heart of a mountainous region, well protected by layers of high-tech defenses and a vast web of security forces. But the Deathworlders have no illusions. They are not here to negotiate, and they will not be stopped by walls of metal and wires. Their leader, a towering figure clad in armor etched with countless battle marks, stands at the forefront of the final assault. His voice is low, grave, as he speaks to the assembled forces, both the Deathworlders and the planet's defenders. This is the moment. The invaders must fall, or they will rise again to terrorize more worlds. We end this here, with them. There is no fear in his words, only a certainty born of countless victories and battles fought in places where survival was nothing short of miraculous. Around him, the air is thick with the tension of warriors ready to face their greatest challenge. The Deathworlders and the planet's defenders advance toward the heart of the enemy's stronghold, moving with the deadly precision that has become their trademark. Their numbers may not match the invaders' vast forces, but they have something far more valuable: strength and unity, the unyielding will to survive, and the knowledge that their enemies are already on the brink of collapse. The invaders, though once confident in their technological superiority, are now plagued by panic. Their ships, once swarming the skies like hornets, are scattered, many having been taken down by the Deathworlders' strikes, leaving the invaders' forces on the planet vulnerable. When the Deathworlders reach the first outer defenses of the command center, the air is thick with anticipation. The enemy's remaining soldiers scramble to mount a defense, their weapons firing in desperation. But the Deathworlders do not flinch. Their armor deflects incoming shots as they push forward, moving like a well-oiled machine, their weapons unleashing waves of energy that tear through the enemy's ranks. The invaders' forces are caught off guard, their attempts to regroup futile in the face of the Deathworlders' savage efficiency. The battle is brutal. The ground becomes a cauldron of violence, with the Deathworlders tearing through walls, cutting down anything that dares to stand in their way. The defenders, emboldened by their presence, rally around them, taking back what was once lost. Together, they cut through the enemy's outer defenses with an overwhelming force, slowly but surely breaking through to the heart of the stronghold. As they advance deeper into the command center, the invaders' leadership knows their time is running out. Desperation sets in. The final stronghold of their power is crumbling, and the Deathworlders are relentless, moving swiftly toward the heart of the complex where the enemy's leaders cower, hiding in their last remaining bastion of control. The Deathworlders' leader knows this is the moment. The leader of the invaders must be taken down. They find the enemy leader at the center of the stronghold, surrounded by a group of elite guards who are prepared to defend their leader at all costs. But the Deathworlders show no hesitation. The leader of the Deathworlders steps forward, his eyes locked onto the enemy leader with the cold focus of a hunter about to strike. The moment is final. The enemy, once powerful and self-assured, now faces extinction at the hands of the very creatures they sought to destroy. With a battle cry that reverberates through the crumbling stronghold, the Deathworlders close in, and the final clash begins. The fate of the planet, and possibly the galaxy, rests on the shoulders of these last, unyielding warriors. The end of the invaders' reign is imminent, and the Deathworlders' victory is only a matter of time. The final stronghold of the invaders stands like a fortress of despair as the Deathworlders push forward with a fury that no amount of advanced technology or high walls can withstand. Inside, the last remnants of the invaders' command are frantically preparing for the inevitable. Their leadership, once confident in their superiority, now quivers in the face of the oncoming storm. The invaders' leader, a figure who once commanded entire fleets and armies, watches from a fortified control room as the Deathworlders' assault grows ever closer. Desperation drips from their every movement, but it is too late. The Deathworlders have already broken the will of their forces. Now, the invaders are merely prey. The battle reaches its fever pitch as the Deathworlders enter the heart of the stronghold, where the enemy's leadership makes its last stand. The walls echo with the sounds of gunfire, explosions, and the relentless march of the Deathworlders. Their heavy boots strike the ground with unyielding force, and their weapons tear apart the walls and soldiers in their path. There is no slowing down now. There is no turning back. The Deathworlders' leader, with cold determination in his eyes, leads the charge. His voice is a steady rumble in the chaos, issuing commands to his warriors as they advance. We will not stop until every last one of them is destroyed. No mercy, no retreat. The planet's defenders follow suit, their spirits lifted by the Deathworlders' unstoppable march. They have seen the tide of battle turn, and they are ready to end this war. The invaders' defenses collapse one by one under the weight of the relentless onslaught. Their soldiers fall like wheat before the scythe, unable to withstand the sheer power and tenacity of the Deathworlders. The invaders' once imposing war machines are now reduced to scrap, their commanders too scattered and too broken to mount any real resistance. In the heart of the command center, the enemy's leader watches in horror as the Deathworlders draw closer. Their cold, unyielding march cannot be stopped. Their victory is inevitable, and the invaders' once unshakable empire is crumbling into dust. The enemy leader, a being who once saw themselves as a god of war, now feels the sting of helplessness. Their empire is dying, and the Deathworlders are the executioners. They issue a final order, a last-ditch attempt to save their world, a desperate call to the remaining forces, a plea for reinforcements. But the message falls on deaf ears. There is no more time. There is no more hope. The Deathworlders break through the final defenses, and the last line of resistance shatters. With each step, they move closer to the core of the enemy's power. The air crackles with tension as the Deathworlders' leader steps forward, his eyes locked onto the enemy leaders. The time for speeches is over. The enemy's reign has come to an end. The leader of the invaders, their face twisted in a mixture of fear and defiance, stands before the Deathworlder. The last of their arrogance evaporates in the face of certain destruction. You think you've won. The invaders' leader hisses, voice trembling. The Deathworlders' leader steps closer, his towering frame casting a shadow over the defeated ruler. You never understood survival. You took what you wanted without regard for others. Now you will face the consequences. With a swift movement, the Deathworlders' leader raises his weapon, and the invaders' leader's defiance is shattered in a flash of energy. The room falls silent. The battle is over. The remaining invaders, now leaderless and scattered, try to flee, but it is pointless. They are hunted down, one by one, by the Deathworlders' merciless pursuit. Their reign, fueled by desperation and greed, is extinguished in a matter of hours. As the dust settles and the smoke clears, the planet's defenders, once a fractured and desperate group, stand victorious. Their world has been saved, but it has been forever changed. The Deathworlders, their mission complete, stand among them as silent witnesses to their triumph. There is no celebration, no cheering. There is only the understanding that this victory came at a great cost. The invaders are gone, but the scars of the battle remain. The Deathworlders leader turns to the planet's leaders, his voice resolute. Your world is free, but remember this, survival is never guaranteed. Protect it with everything you have. With that, the Deathworlders begin to withdraw, their mission complete. But their warning hangs in the air like a cloud of smoke. The invaders may be gone, but the galaxy remains a dangerous place, and the Deathworlders will always be watching, ready to answer the call when the next enemy rises. The last remnants of the invaders' forces are scattered across the planet's surface, broken and leaderless. The fires of battle still smolder in the distance, remnants of a war that had threatened to consume everything. Yet in the wake of the Deathworlders' relentless victory, a silence settles over the planet. An eerie calm after the storm. The people of this world, once helpless and trembling under the shadow of invaders, now stand at the precipice of a new beginning. The Deathworlders, their mission complete, have begun their withdrawal. But this is not just the end of a battle. It is the beginning of a new era for this world, and the lessons imparted by the Deathworlders will linger for generations. The leaders of the planet gather, their eyes drawn to the Deathworlders who stand like silent sentinels, their expressions unreadable. There are no cheers, no grand displays of gratitude. The Deathworlders have never needed nor wanted such things. They have done what needed to be done, and now they prepare to leave. But there is one more task to accomplish before they depart. A final, lingering conversation with the leaders of this world. The Deathworlders' leader steps forward, his presence imposing even in the midst of so much destruction. His voice is steady, unwavering, as he addresses the gathered leaders. You now have a choice, he begins, his gaze sweeping over them. The enemy you faced was not the true threat. They were just a symptom of a much greater danger that runs throughout the galaxy. There are others like them, others who will stop at nothing to survive, to expand, and to conquer. You may have won this battle, but you have not yet won the war. The words hang in the air like a heavy fog. The leaders of the planet exchange uneasy glances, their minds reeling from the magnitude of what the Deathworlder is saying. It is a reality they had never truly understood until now, one that had always existed beyond their borders, but had seemed so distant, so unfathomable. The Deathworlders had shown them the horrors that lie beyond the stars, but they had also shown them the way to survive it. The death of the invaders had been necessary, but it had also been a lesson. You must prepare, the Deathworlders' leader continues. Your people must be ready for what is to come. You are no longer isolated in your corner of the galaxy. You have seen the kind of strength the invaders had. Now you must build your own. You must create a new path forward, one where you are not merely surviving, but thriving. The planet's leaders nod slowly, absorbing his words. They understand now what they must do. They are no longer victims of circumstance. They are survivors, and they will fight for their future, just as the Deathworlders fought for theirs. We will build a military, one of the leaders says, their voice filled with determination. We will prepare for what comes next. Good, the Deathworlders' leader replies, his tone approving but unyielding. The galaxy is unforgiving. But if you are willing to do whatever it takes to protect your world, you may yet have a future. You are not alone in this fight. Remember, we will be watching, waiting for the day you need us again. With that, the Deathworlders turn and begin to leave, their massive forms fading into the horizon. The planet's defenders, now changed by the experience, watch them go, their eyes filled with a newfound sense of purpose. The warriors they had fought alongside have left behind something far more valuable than just victory. They have left behind a legacy of strength, survival, and determination. A legacy that will inspire the planet's people to prepare for whatever lies ahead. In the distance, the shadows of the Deathworlders grow smaller and smaller as they make their way toward their ships. But the lessons they have left behind are far from forgotten. The galaxy is vast and dangerous, and this world now stands ready to face whatever challenges may come. It is no longer a world of victims. It is a world of warriors. And in the years to come, when the call for help rings out once again, they will answer, standing strong as the Deathworlders had shown them.